Hey guys, I'm coming to you from another room in my house. I want to talk to you a little bit today about those sample essays that I posted. I actually started thinking about it and I was like, I'm only going to really look at one of them and I'm going to put these comments up online just as soon as I'm done with this video so you can see it. But I'm going to look at the rhetorical analysis, the one that's not the weaker one. I want to look at the stronger one and talk about it a little bit. For the most part, I thought this essay was okay, but there are a couple things that I thought were kind of weird, and so I want to point them out and kind of go through it with you. And this is just like we would have done in class. If we look at our first paragraph, basically, I thought this was pretty strong throughout. She mentions both the articles and the authors. I think she has a nice lead into what she wants to say. So, those are the good things about this. But I do think there is one thing that is really, really stressful for me. It says, in reviewing the two articles, a scholarly article is more factual with a variety of information to maintain its case. That's fine, and I guess, in a roundabout way, she is discussing rhetoric, but my thought is that I think she needs to kind of say it flat out. And so I said, this she needs to work on. She doesn't mention the rhetorical appeals or rhetoric at all. So I kind of think that she might get off to a little bit of the wrong foot. So that was one of my issues with the intro only. Now, otherwise, I thought it was pretty good. And because her thesis was bad, it doesn't mean her whole paper's bad. It just means that she needs to go back and fix her thesis. Honestly, it's way easier to have a bad thesis than a bad paper. So, anyway, so then she really, really, I don't know if you read this whole paper, and hopefully you will now, but it is a very long paper. And so how she did everything was she had the pop article author. Then she went down and she had the scholarly article author. And when you actually look at what's going on inside of them, she tells you basically stuff that she found out only from the article itself, and that's exactly what I want you guys to do. So when I looked at that, she went pop one paragraph and then scholarly one paragraph. I said both of these paragraphs give good information and information that she only got from the article itself. Okay? And so then she does the audience. I did say she said Philly, and I feel like that's slang, but whatever, that's neither here nor there, but I put it in here. And then so she has the pop audience, and then in another paragraph, she has the scholarly audience. And I think she has really good information in there, so I was like, okay, moving on. The next thing she has is the purpose paragraph, and it is bigger, and I think that's okay. And she has pop, then scholarly. Notice that how she's organized this paper is she always goes pop, scholarly, pop, scholarly. I really, really like that because it gives me a nice space to have a head-to-head comparison to see what's going on between the two. So I would recommend that organization style to you, and that's how, whenever I showed you the outline, that's how I did it too. So, purpose. Now, one of the things that I think is weird about this, I said instead of using 6 paragraphs for author, audience, purpose, I think she could have gotten away with shortening some of this information and doing 2 paragraphs. So she would have a pop paragraph where she talked about author, audience, purpose, and a scholarly author, audience, purpose paragraph. I don't think she needs quite so much information, which sounds crazy from me, but this is kind of a little bit too much information, I think, especially I think in the purpose paragraph. So I would say, let's see if we could find a way to make 6 paragraphs, 2 paragraphs. Okay, so there's one thought I have. So now she has her author, audience, purpose, and we move on to the appeals. She has pathos, pop pathos. She always starts with pop. Good idea. That's the only way you should do that. You always should start with the same thing. Otherwise, your brain will get completely confused. So she talks about pathos in this one. And she says, she gives good examples, which I really like. So then she gives this example here, and she says, Purdue is trying to publicly save face. Well, okay, go a step further and show how that makes the audience feel. And here she has a public health nightmare. She says it demonstrates. Well, I think you could probably give me a little bit more, and it does say she has a shot at swaying the reader's emotions, but what emotion? What emotion are they trying to pull out? And that's what I really want you to answer here. So I think she has a great understanding of what pathos is, but I don't think she articulated it quite well enough here. Okay, and then she does the same thing, scholarly pathos. She says that there's hardly any pathos in that scholarly article, and honestly, I think that's a pretty normal thing. So I would say that, that's not wild to me. However, she does have an example, but she really doesn't tell me how it makes the audience feel. So I would say you need to tell me more, I guess, how it makes the audience feel when you have this one example. And then I do think at the end of this paragraph, which one's better with pathos? And does it make it stronger that it doesn't have pathos? So I say she has all this information, but she really hasn't answered the question quite as well as I'd want it to be answered. Okay. Then she has her logos, and honestly, I think she does a pretty good job with the logos. She shows examples of it. I said she shows how logos is used. So I would say these are her stronger spots. She has great examples of statistics, and that is completely logic based. So I think that's pretty good. I was pretty happy with both of her paragraphs here. Okay. And then she has her conclusion, which I thought was fine. Now, you guys, you may be saying to yourself, wait a second, Hunter, something is missing. Yes, something is missing. She doesn't really have ethos mentioned anywhere. Like, she talks about the author way up here at the top, but honestly, she never talks about credibility when she talks about that author. I mean, I wouldn't want it there anyway, but I think like she never tells us whether or not we can trust him. So whenever I look at this paper, she has kind of skipped over a whole rhetorical appeal, which I would be like, oh man, that sucks. So we'll kind of we'll go into that a little bit later. So I want to show you kind of what I thought she did do a great job with and what things needed work. So sorry, I'm getting back down here to the bottom. Good. Things that I thought were good. She demonstrated a good understanding of rhetoric, especially with pathos and logos. Either, well, yeah. She had great topic sentences. I immediately could tell what her paragraph was going to be about. I mean, just almost immediately from the first sentence. So great. She quoted the sources. I think she needs to do that. Her superficial organization was really good. Like I could follow exactly what her train of thought was. So I said that was good. I said she was a good writer. I mean, she's got good writing style, syntax besides for Sam Philly, but honestly, I didn't care that much. Paper was super easy to read. Okay, so those are good things. Things that need a little work, and you knew it was coming. The lack of conversation about ethos. She mentions the author. She kind of builds up to that idea of credibility. She dances around it, but she never really talks about it. And I would say without talking about it, you are not going to get an A on this paper, even if this is a pretty good paper. So I would say she needs to explicitly kind of talk about it. Then another thing, like one of the things that I feel like she did completely, she never explicitly mentioned rhetoric. And that would have been in her thesis. So I would say, why not go back and say, after looking at the ethos and pathos and logos of each of those articles, I see that the scholarly article is stronger. I think that's something that's a much better thesis. I know where you're going. Even if it's not put together as well, it's a better thesis. I need to know where this paper's going. So really. I wanted her to talk more about the actual effectiveness of the rhetoric because I wanted her to tell me, okay, now you've told me what the rhetoric is, that how it exists in this paper, but I really would like for you to now show me, does it make the paper better? She never really says that. She never really tells me which one is better because of the rhetoric. So I would say that would be something she really, really, really needs to add. And like this one, I think could be added in a couple of sentences. Okay, and then I thought she should have condensed author audience purpose. So then, when I graded it, I said this wasn't a bad paper and it did demonstrate a knowledge of rhetoric. However, I think she wasn't explicit enough, and she didn't really talk about ethos. She led up to it, don't get me wrong. She was in the ballpark of ethos, but she just didn't really explicitly mention it. And I would say this is a stronger paper, but it would not be an A paper. I would say this is a B plus paper, and I'm thinking in the 80s is where I would probably put that. Probably high 80s, 86, 87, which I think is a strong, good paper that needs just a little bit more work. And I think it's honestly work that could have been taken care of in probably a couple hours. So those are my thoughts on that. I'm going to post these comments online. You guys, your rough drafts are due on Thursday at 6 a.m. Please let me know. I'm about to start virtual office hours in like 20 minutes. So please, please, please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be around. You can talk to me today. Um, I just miss your faces, and I'll see you later. Bye.